A date set for the F&M convention. The opposition slams the speech from the throne again, and the Freedom of Information Office faces setbacks. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Friday, October 8th. Though it was previously stated that the Free National Movement leader, Dr. Hubert Minnis, will lead the House of Assembly and the party until a new leader is selected at the F&M's convention in November, it seems that he may be able to secure leadership once again. Chairman Carl Kummer 2 weeks ago announced Dr. Minnis has pledged to work with whoever succeeds him to ensure the F&M is battle ready for the next general election. But off the heels of speculation that Dr. Minnis is aware of a move to have him nominated during convention, Mr. Kummer has since changed his tune.
The thing is, anyone could be nominated if there's enough cry for Minnis to come, and he could draw the support. And if he accepts, it happened before. It happened before when Tommy was leader. When Ingram, the cry came out for Ingram to come back. So anything's possible. I can't rule out anything.
That said, the convention date's set for the 27th of November to determine the party's leadership following a crushing defeat at the polls last month.
We'll have another convention in February sometime, where we have a full convention to discuss everything, constitution, the rest of the positions, as well as the awarding of different honors for different persons during that time.
That convention's set to take place in late February. The official opposition slamming the speech from the throne delivered on Wednesday by Governor General Sir Cornelius A. Smith. The speech from the throne, the hallmark of the opening of a new parliament, was the Progressive Liberal Party government's blueprint for the next 5 years. The F&M taking issue with the promise of a reduction in taxes, among other promises made by the PLP government. A statement from the official opposition on Thursday said the speech failed to address the seriousness of the country's fiscal situation, and it does not address the ongoing necessity for tax reform and for reform of the state-owned enterprises that are critical to fiscal consolidation over time. Adding the speech from the throne, unfortunately, does not provide the necessary plans and policies that will maintain the significant economic recovery started by the Minnis administration. That is evidenced by recent central bank reports and the healthy tourism numbers. The F&M in its statement says that the PLP's promise to reduce VAT comes without clear plans on how the reduced revenue will be replaced, and failed to provide a timeline on when this will be done. The F&M statement continues that the speech provides for exponential increases in expenditure without a clear plan or even mention on how they are going to pay for such dramatic increases, adding that the PLP government has put together plans to add hundreds of millions of dollars in spending during its term, while seeking to cut hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue at the same time. The opposition contends that it's an impossible calculus that speaks to their irresponsible approach to governance. The government appears to be making promises it cannot or has no intention of keeping, they say. The F&M also noting that the speech makes it clear that there is a dramatic shift from the fiscally responsible policies that are required for a robust recovery. The Fiscal Responsibility Act was introduced to prevent against arbitrary shifts in the economic policy. The reduction in VAT will result in an estimated $160 million annual revenue, or $800 million over 5 years, at a time when the country's resources are strained. The PLP's policies have only signaled more and more spending, but have been silent on how it is to be paid for. The government must account to the people, and required by law how they intend to justify the reduction revenue. The Governor General's announcement in the speech from the throne indicates that the government intends to fully implement the Freedom of Information Act, which received a lot of applause, as just in 2017, the Christie-led administration introduced the act into Parliament, and in 2021, the Minnis-led administration named a commissioner and designated office spaces. The Minnis administration borrowed $30 million from the Inter-American Development Bank to strengthen its digital infrastructure infrastructure and support the rollout of the Freedom of Information Act. In this report by Jcntv Saunders, we get the latest on the potential opening date for the Freedom of Information Office.
When Love 97 visited the new Freedom of Information offices in the Yanley building on University Drive on Thursday, Commissioner Keith Thompson gave an update on the progress being made to open the office as soon as possible. In May, the then Free National Movement government suggested that the Freedom of Information office would take 3 to 6 months before opening to the public. However, on Friday, Deputy Commissioner of the Freedom of Information office, Shane Miller, says in reality it will take significantly longer.
It's not something that you just open up an office today and the public can come in tomorrow and start business. Freedom of information, because as you would understand, it's a culture change. It's a transformation from the traditional public service view of everything is secret to opening up to the point where, with the exceptions of a few situations as mentioned in the Act, everything now becomes open. So that's a transformation process first that has to be looked at from within the public service.
Mr. Miller explained there are more than 200 government agencies where information is held and the public's money is spent, and that the Freedom of Information Office is in the process of having various government ministries, departments, and agencies identify and designate information officers who will work in tandem with the Freedom of Information Office once information is requested from that area of government.
Also, because it's a major transformation process, it is transformation also in terms of the business procedures of the government as well as infrastructure. Because as you can realize, there's currently about 20-something different ministries itself. Under those ministries, there are dozens of departments, and outside of that, there's quasi-government corporations that also come under the Act. So there's a lot of information that needs to be put together properly to make available for the public. So under international best practices, from the minute the Freedom of Information Office is opened, it's usually a process of 18 to 24 months before the public can say, basically, we're ready now to get information out to you.
Mr. Miller informed that the Freedom of Information Office will initially select 10 specific areas of government they anticipate will be most popular among citizens seeking information once the office is open to the general public. Other government departments and agencies will be phased in as the office builds capacity. So with the Freedom of Information Office opening in May this year and now 5 months into the process, 18 months from now would see the Freedom of Information Office officially open to the public for business in the first quarter of 2023. Mr. Miller sought to explain further the stage the office is at in the process.
With that in mind, an action plan is being drawn, and as into staffing of the department, accommodations, infrastructure requirements. We've also been we've had communications with certain government agencies such as DTAD, the Archives and Public Records, Ministry of Finance, and other agencies that will be crucial in moving this process forward.
Jcntv Saunders for JCN News.
And the Davis-led administration intends to introduce a regulatory framework for the cannabis industry, according to Governor General Sir Cornelius A. Smith. Now, this is a promise made by the Progressive Liberal Party on the campaign trail. In fact, in the party's Blueprint for Change plan, the party revealed that this framework will make provisions for growing, harvesting, and exporting cannabis so that the industry creates opportunities for many. Additionally, through Bahamas Invest, the party said that it intends to encourage joint ventures in the medicinal cannabis industry. The Governor General also outlined the new administration's plans to expunge records for those previously convicted for possession of a small amount of marijuana. Former National Security Minister Marvin Dames told reporters back in June that the Bahamas Rehabilitation of Offenders Committee has expunged the criminal records of 28 people to date, with 85 applications pending. Under the Rehabilitation of Offenders Act, Amendment 2015, people who have committed murder, manslaughter, treason, armed robbery, rape, or possession of dangerous drugs with intent to supply cannot have their records expunged. But after 5 years, most of the others are eligible if they are first-time offenders or were younger than 21 at the time of the first conviction. Mr. Dames at the time said the Rehabilitation of Offenders Committee has referred 24 cases to the Prerogative of Mercy Committee for its consideration. Mr. Dames said under the Minnis administration, 209 inmates serving time at the Department of Correctional Services have been granted clemency. In January 2020, a preliminary report by the Bahamas Commission on Marijuana was leaked to the media and later tabled in Parliament in early February 2020. Among the 24 recommendations in that report were recommendations that the government allow those eligible to receive prescribed medicinal cannabis to grow sufficient plants for their use, allow tourists who are prescribed medicinal cannabis in their countries to obtain it in the Bahamas, and to allow the importation of regulated cannabis products for ailments. Although that report has not been completed, the government at the time already drafted legislation for the regulation of the local cannabis industry, a proposed medical cannabis bill 2021 and the Dangerous Drugs Amendment Bill 2021, which were leaked to the media. Parliament was dissolved before members could debate the matter in the lower and upper chamber. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.